Hello, Audrey. How are you?
Hey, teacher.
Good evening.
Are you okay?
I can hear you.
Are you okay?
Oh, yes. My back hurts though. Uh, I was actually telling Ruth
Mhm.
that whenever I have a vaccine, influenza or now the COVID vaccine with the AstraZeneca in particular, uh, I have almost the same reactions. Like
Mm.
I get fevers, but my body hurts. I can't move, and
Mm.
so the I don't have any fevers anymore. My body doesn't hurt, only my back. It hurts a lot. Like I don't know if I had a sports incident or something. For some reason, it's like that. It affects my my nerves on my back. I feel better, but still a little bit of pain from my back. And,
And it is the first.
the second,
I think.
yeah, well, I got the first shot. It was the same thing. Hello, Joe. It was the same thing, but it was worse because I was sick for 4 days,
Mhm.
I think. I don't remember exactly because this was a long time ago. I got the first shot and I got very ill. And I remember it was almost the same. It was on a Thursday. Uh, I believe it was on Thursday afternoon, and I started feeling bad in the evening. And all my weekend I spent on bed. And I said, well, whatever. I guess I'll just wait for the second shot. But before I got the second shot, I got COVID. And actually, when I got COVID, it wasn't that bad. Yes, I got a little bit of fever. My body hurt, but it was just like 3 days and 2 days and a half, and that's it.
Mm.
That's it. But I could control it. I could control it with paracetamol, and
Uh-huh.
and it was okay. And I said, and then I went to go see my doctor, and she said, "Well, you got the first shot, you got COVID, you have to wait for the second shot." And I said, "Okay." I wasn't very happy to get it. And I said, "Oh man, I'm scared if I get it, I get my shot, like I'm gonna get very sick again." And then my family is like, "No, you need to get a second shot." Blah 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 blah. Okay, you know what? At work, they're going to go there, and whoever is missing first, second, or third doses, they're gonna give it to you. Said, "Oh, well, I'm gonna register and just take it." I think my body at this time should be okay. Nah,
Mm.
big mistake. Nah. And and I said, you know what? Um, I don't get sick that often, but whenever I take a shot for vaccine, especially influenza and now COVID, I don't
Mhm.
want to do it. I don't want to do it. I'd rather get sick than take the vaccine. I don't know. It's only me. It's only me that I get very very sick, and but yes, that's what it is, and I'm doing better, like I said, but just my back hurts a lot. I don't want to get older.
I think.
I know. So
But
I'm sorry.
no, no, not.
Okay. Yes. So today, Joe, welcome. How are you? And
Hello, teacher. Good evening.
good evening. So let's see. I guess not many people are showing up. Oh, there it is. Hello. Hello, Mauricio. How are you? Okay, so what we're going to do today, we are going to review the structures of an essay, but focused in a narrative essay. So I'm going to show you my screen so that we can start working on this. But before we get into details, let's read a little bit about what's a narrative essay. Okay, so I'm gonna need for you guys to help me read. Hello, Mauricio. How are you? Can you hear me now?
Hello, teacher. Yes, I was joining in my cell phone because I don't have a microphone in my computer.
Oh, it's okay. Awesome. But it's good that you're here. Uh, Good news that we're now to the narrative essay. I like these essays. I guess this is more like my style of writing. And we're gonna review some very interesting parts, structures of the essay, and we're gonna do some fun exercises today. So before we get into details, guys, let's read a little bit about narrative essay, okay? So I would need your help for some reading here in this section, okay? Any volunteers? Perhaps Audrey, can you help me? Hello? Yes, can you hear me, guys?
Yes, teacher.
Okay. Audrey, can you help me with an explanation for a narrative essay?
Read teacher.
Yes, please.
A narrative essay tells a story. In fact, narrative is another word for story. In this unit, you will learn how to organize and write a narrative essay. Even though the narrative essay has the same basic form as most other academic essays, it allows the writer to be a little more creative than essay academic essay usually do. Narratives can tell a long story or just a few minutes worth of
Excitement.
excitement, while the narrative essay has a particular structure. Narrative ideas are often used in different writing tasks, such as argument or compare conflict.
Okay, so yes, so narrative or narrative in British is another word for a story. Okay, and it could be a biography, autobiography. It could be a particular subject. It could be a place. I don't know. There's many things we can talk about in a narrative essay. But let's see. We have the structure of a story in general. Several important elements make up a good story. For example, the first part we need to consider is the setting. Always, guys, whenever we talk about a narrative essay, we have a setting. The setting is the location where the action and the story takes place. Yes, it could be in the field, any field in particular, a particular country, the desert, a forest. I don't know. It could be many things. Even it could be a particular place. Like for example, some movies, they don't have many places where they show the action. Sometimes the setting in a movie is just in one place. It could be in a hotel, on the street, on a forest. I don't know. You name it. Like for example, remember the first movie Saw? It was only the first Saw movie that I watched was many years ago, and the whole setting was in a public bathroom, abandoned public bathroom. Remember that movie? It was a suspense thrill movie. Saw. In Spanish, I believe it's called Juego de la Muerte. For Mexican Spanish, I don't know if how was it called, but it was the whole setting was in a public bathroom. That's it. But it was a good story. Now let's move on to the next one. The theme. Mauricio, can you help me Reading the description for the theme.
Sure, teacher. The theme is the basic idea of the story. Very often the theme will deal with a topic that is common in life or human nature.
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 Okay, nature, such as
Independence.
independence, envy, courage, failure, and success.
Success. Okay.
Success.
Yes. Thank you, Mauricio. So, in few words, the whole basic idea of a theme is like the ambience, right? But of the story, not about the people, the story. Okay, what is it about? Is it a story about success, about someone having problems and just have chaos in life? Or I don't know, maybe a particular sentiment or a particular story about someone of being very brave, going through some challenges in life, a crossroads, and succeeding towards it. Could be. We're gonna read an example, very good example from this in a little bit. The mood. Joe, can you help me read about the mood?
The mood is the feeling or atmosphere that the reader creates for the story. It could be happy, hopeful, suspectful, or scary, but the setting and descriptive vocabulary create the mood in a narrative.
Okay, yes. So the moon is the feeling or the atmosphere of the story. And this is very particular, guys. So the theme, okay, is the common topic of the story. The mood is what the characters create about the story. Okay, that's the difference. Now let's go into the characters. Let me see who else. Okay, it's only us four. So Audrey, let's go back to you. Can you help me read about the characters?
The characters are the people in the story. They are affected by the mood of the story and they react to the in which they are involved.
Yes, we can have many characters, right? We have the main character. We can have supporting characters. We have protagonists, antagonists. Okay. The plot, Mauricio.
The plot is what happens in the story, that is, the sequence of events. The plot often includes a climax or turning point at which the characters or events change.
Yes, and usually the plot develops in the body of the essay, okay? Now, just like other types of essays, the effective narrative essay also includes these elements: a thesis that sets up the action in the introduction, transition sentences, guys, that connect events and help the reader follow the story. Remember we talk about transition sentences. Remember when we talk about the argumentative essay? We use transition sentences to connect all of our paragraphs. A conclusion. This one ends the story and the action and provides a moral prediction or revelation. Now, I'm going to stop and talk a little bit about the conclusion. It's always good whenever we write in our conclusion information, also to give additional information to keep the reader informed and go pursue more information about the topic. What I'm trying to say is that a good research paper or an essay paper, regardless what it is, will give you that persuasive input so that you can go ahead and look for more information somewhere else, okay? Any questions so far? No questions, guys? Okay, so remember the thesis, transition sentences, and a conclusion, okay? Remember, and this is actually telling us the whole structure of any essay. A thesis, where is the thesis statement? In the introduction, right? Okay, so the thesis statement is in the introduction. Transition sentences, guys, remember? Where? The body, correct? So we have it here. Let's go into more details. Now, let's talk about an introduction when it comes to a narrative essay, okay? And I'm gonna read the first paragraph, okay? The introduction of a narrative essay is the paragraph that begins your story. In the introduction, you describe the setting, introduce the characters, and prepare your audience for the action to come. Okay, we need to highlight this, right? Because this is everything. The setting, introduce the characters, and prepare your audience for the action to come. Okay? There. And of course, the introduction should have a hook and a thesis. The hook is so that you can get the attention of the reader. Once you get the attention, then you tell them what's going to happen. That's your thesis. The narrative hook. And I'm pretty sure you talk about these from last session, okay? But let's just talk about a narrative hook in particular for this type of essays, because this is our next type of paper, okay? So the narrative hook, I needed someone to help me read the next paragraph. Let's see. Mauricio, can you help me read the next paragraph?
The narrative hook. You learn that the hook is an essay is the part of the introduction, usually the first few sentences that grabs readers' attention. Hooks are especially important in narrative essay because they help set the stage for the story. The hook makes readers start guessing about what will happen next. Let's look at the hook from Essay 8 that you will read in Activity 2.
Okay, so it's giving us an example for the future so that we can read that essay. But in this case, we're only going to read the hook. Okay, Mauricio, can you read the hook?
I had never been more anxious in my life. I just spent the last 3 endless hours trying to get to the airport so that I could travel home.
Okay, so right in the end, the hook is someone's issue. Someone is going through some harshness. Something is happening, okay? It's a struggle, and the struggle is telling us The hook is telling us that this has something to do with someone trying to get into the airport. And come on, guys, any airport, it doesn't matter what airport it is, you always, well, in my case, I always have a problem for some reason in the airport. Not only the flight being delayed, but before you are inside the airport, what about getting into the airport? Especially you're driving all around a big city. Oh yes, it gets fun, trust me. Not only that, if there's a lot of people inside the airport, or it's a new airport and you don't know where to get to the aisle, to the gate that you are supposed to go, and it's a big airport and you have to get there. Oh yes, it gets very interesting. So right out the bat, we are reading about someone's effort when going to an airport. In particular, we're going to read more about this. Okay, so let's get to the next part. Okay, Joan, can you help me read?
Okay. Does this hack make you want to know what happened to the narrator? The hack should make the reader ask,
A hook.
oh, why? Okay, hook.
Hook.
Okay, the hook. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. The hook should make the reader ask why question about the essay. You may have thought of questions like this when you read the predicting hook.
Preceding hook.
Preceding hook. Okay, who is the narrator and why is he or she anxious? Where is the airport? What made the trip to the airport seem endless? Why is the person going home?
Okay, so in few words, guys, just the WH questions that we have here, let's just highlight these. The WH questions are 4 in this case. And is this small sentence telling us something about this WH? Who is the narrator and why is he or she anxious? Well, the narrator is, I don't know, a traveler at this point. Someone, it's a person. We don't know it's a he or a she, but he's anxious to go to the airport. Okay, where? The airport. What made the trip to the airport seem endless? Well, because 3 hours. Why? Why is the person going home? Perhaps, I don't know, we can assume perhaps because of a work trip or maybe a family trip. We don't know. But we can answer some parts of these WH questions right in the beginning. Okay. Any questions up to here, guys? No? No questions? Okay, let's do a fun activity, okay? So we have here, right here. Okay, so activity 1, identifying hooks, ganchos, okay? So read the sentences below. We have, 10 sentences there, but I don't know if it's too small. Let me see if I can fix it. Okay, there. Read the sentence below. Which 3 sentences would not be good hooks for a narrative essay? Okay. So it says, look at the instructions. Which 3 sentences would not be good hooks for a narrative essay? Put a check mark next to the sentences. Okay. Be ready to explain why you think these sentences do not work well as hooks for narrative essays. Okay, so let's see. So what you're going to do is, if you consider, where are my check marks? Oh, where are they? I remember, okay, right here. Okay, if you consider, okay, I believe number one is a good hook. Okay, so it's not letting me, I'll leave it here. Okay, so I'll put a check mark, no problem. Okay, what about number two? I don't know. I don't think it's a good hook. Okay, so just leave it blank. But we need to find three. But that's your opinion. Okay, but not only that, why is not a good hook? Teacher, how can we answer is not a good hook? Do they answer the WH questions about the essay? This is what you're going to use as a reference to determine if these hooks are actually effective hooks. Okay, guys, is it understandable? Do you have any questions? Any questions, guys? Mauricio, Audrey, Joe? Guys, do you have any questions?
Teacher, escogemos tres y las otras son, o sea, explicamos por qué no funcionan tan bien.
Ok, bueno, el ejercicio en sí te dice que tienes que escoger tres que tú consideras que no son un buen hook.
Ah, ya.
Al revés, ¿sale? Si tú consideras que son un buen hook, ponle un check mark.
Mm.
¿Ok? Si tú consideras que son un buen hook y los que no consideres que son un buen hook, que en este caso van a ser tres, no le pongas check mark. ¿Ok? Entonces, leamos all the hooks, all the sentences or statements y decidan cuál ustedes consideran es a good hook, is a good hook. Y las que no son un good hook, we need to explain why not. ¿Ok?
Sí.
Mauricio, Joe, ¿claro?
Yes, yeah, it's clear.
Ok, entonces maybe 3-4 minutes. Ok, 3-4 minutos. Si necesitamos más tiempo, I'll ask. Ok, so let's work on this exercise, guys. Hello, Rodrigo. So
Good evening.
good evening, Rodrigo. So you need more time, guys? How are we doing with this exercise? You need more time? Mauricio, Joe, Audrey?
Yes, teacher.
Okay.
Yes, teacher.
Okay, Audrey. Mauricio, you need more time? Joe? Are you
No,
ready, guys?
teacher, I finished. Yes.
Okay. Joanne?
I finished something.
Okay. Rodrigo. So what we did here is identifying 3 hooks that you do not consider to be effective. And we're going to discuss this, just catch up, okay? Let's see. Anybody wants to start, perhaps? Anyone? Any volunteers? Mauricio, maybe? You want to give us your 3 statements or sentences that you consider they're not effective hooks?
Okay, teacher. For me, number 2, number 5, and number 6.
Okay. Give us your input. Why? Number 2.
Okay, number 2, I think that it doesn't have sense, and also it's too short. For me, it's too short, and it doesn't have too much sense. Maybe they are they are they are talking about the weather, but I don't know. For me, it's not too important, the weather.
Okay. And you're right. Sad December day. Yes. I guess we know sometimes Decembers are melancholic, you want to say. Freezing, not always. There's some places where it's December, it's winter, and it's not necessarily winter, it's a little bit warm. Okay, let's see. Number 5. What is your input?
Number 5, wolves are by far the large. Okay. I don't think that it is like a hook. I think that it is more like informative sentence. Just informing whales are by far the largest marine mammals, and I can
Marine mammals. Okay.
just marine mammals, and I don't think that it would hook you.
It's not gonna hook you, right? Okay, we
Yeah.
know that, but is it interesting? We know a lot of information about whales, but that's all. They're largest animals, marine. Yeah, we knew that. Okay, good point. 6.
She gave her birthday in front of birthday. Mm,
A birthday gift.
mm, I think that it was not relevant information. Maybe in another context, but in this just hook context, it's not relevant. It's not something that I would say why did you why did she bring or something like this.
Okay. Yes, it's only an action, but we don't know where. Yes, we know it's a she and a she, but we need more context, right? Okay, good selection. Thank you, Mauricio. Any volunteers? Joan? Joe? You want to share?
Okay. Hmm, I'm not sure, but I think the option 1 and the option 5 and the 7.
Okay, tell us about 1. Why do you think it's not a good hook?
Mm, mm, uh, uh, I think that no, not is a good hook, but okay, because in the phrase describe okay, mm, describe come on. Oh, mm, mm, not describe. Okay. Talk about the cars. The rest cars. Uh, eh, okay. Mm,
It's actually doing like an exaggeration because it's saying that the race car, for example, the race car roars, and roar is something like a lion would do, right? So you have race car engines ripped through the blazing heat of the day. So it's very hot. It's telling you that it's very hot. It's during the day, not at night. And blazing means there's a lot of sun. There's a lot of sun. Probably not only sun, but also a lot of heat and humidity. That's why it says blazing heat of the day and ripped. If there's humidity, that means there's air in the environment. I'm sorry, but there's water, because humidity means water in the air. So that means when the car engines are ripping or breaking through the humidity, the heat, like if it was an imaginary curtain. So there's a lot of exaggeration in this sentence, but it's actually telling you enough information to say or to answer some of the most of the WH questions, Joe. I would say perhaps this is a good a hook. This is a really good hook. It's interesting. Perhaps you don't consider it a good hook for you because maybe you don't like cars, right? Like, I don't want to talk about cars. I don't know. Or maybe the heat. Don't know. I'm just making assumptions. But I would consider this one actually a good hook, okay? 5, okay, of course, we need more info. 7, the gleaming snow lay over the treacherous mountain like a soft white blanket, making the terrain seem safe instead of deadly, okay? So there's a lot of description here. And it's telling us that there is a mountain, there's a snow, and treacherous. Whenever they say treacherous, that means that it's tricky. No es confiable, es trucosa. So that means that any time you can have an accident. Okay. And when there's, I don't know, I believe you are familiar with snow, right? There's a point where there's sun and snow, you can see the snow gleaming, like having some sparks or some shining, okay? And that's what it means. So 7, yes, I would consider it also a good hook. Okay, Joe, thank you so much. Okay, let's see, Audrey, what do you consider not good hooks?
For me, teacher, number 2, 6, and 8.
8, okay. Let's see. So we have the Russian dictionary that we use in our language class has 100 pages, 500 pages. Okay, so why do you think it's not a good hook?
Number 2 is usual that in December we can feel cold. And also, when someone talks us about weather, is because it's boring.
Yes. Okay, so it's not gonna get attention. So you're gonna tell me that this is gonna be a sad story and no action, perhaps. I don't want to read it. Okay.
Number 6. She gave her friend a birthday gift. When is the birthday of someone, we always have to bring a gift. It's obligation. It isn't relevant. Relevant. It's normal.
Okay.
And number 8. For me, it is interesting. There are other books with more page, and also not interesting that the dictionary have 500 page.
Yes, it's only telling us about a Russian dictionary. Okay, 500 pages, and that's it. Not much info. It doesn't seem that, especially about a dictionary, right? I don't know. That, well, in my case, it doesn't hook me up. Maybe, I don't know. a Russian sport with a particular athlete, it's a different story, right?
Mhm.
Maybe we can get hooked. Okay, good. And let's see, Rodrigo, pretty much, can you tell us which ones do you consider not being effective hooks?
Yes, I think number 2, number 5, and number 8.
Okay, number 8.
Number 2, the same answer that my classmates. It's not interesting talking about a date or yes, a date or the weather. Number 5, because whales are by far the largest marine mammals. For me, no, it's just an irrelevant date. That so I think that's not interesting. Number 8, because talking about Russian dictionary is not it's not amazing. It's not a good topic.
Yes, especially a dictionary, right?
Yes.
And 500 pages? Jesus.
Yes.
It's not helping you. Okay. Thank you, Rodrigo. And the other one that I consider could not also be a good hook is number 10. A shot rang out in the silence of the night. Now, yes, it's very short. It's not telling me much, but always these kind of actions like a shot or a fight, a car accident, I don't know, even if it's fiction, always brings attention. So for some people which are more into action essays, perhaps they don't consider it good hooks because yes, a shot. Okay, so what else? But in my case, that I don't that I don't read too many action works. I read more about discoveries and ancestry and culture, not about action things. So for me, it's not a good hook. Like, okay, there was a shot, so what's up? And maybe for some people that are into action, for people that are curious, maybe they might consider it a good hook. It all depends. So this one is a little bit tricky, actually. Number 10. It's tricky. But in my case, I would consider it not a good hook. But if I have to decide between all of them and only choose 3, yes, I would definitely go for, I would definitely go for number 2. Okay, I would go for number 6 and I would go for number 8. Those would be my choices, okay? But of course, this is about intuitive decision, okay? You have your hook, and then if you don't have a good hook, and that's all you can provide as a hook, is the job of the thesis statement to keep your reader hooked, now providing effective and main idea information. Okay, so let's see. Oh, the thesis, yes. Okay, I know we have discussed this, but we're gonna look at some examples, okay? So let's see, the thesis. Rodrigo, can you help us read? This is gonna be fun.
In most types of essays, the thesis states the main idea of the essays and tells what the organization of the information will be. However, in a narrative essay, the thesis introduces the action that begins in the first paragraph of the essay. Look at these example thesis statements. Now, as I watched the bus driver set my luggage on the airport sidewalk, I realized that my frustration and had only just begun.
Okay, I realized
Realized.
that my frustration had only begun.
Oh, begun.
Begun. Okay, let's try the second thesis.
I want my mother to watch my race down the steep hill. So I called out her name and then nudged my vehicle forward.
Nudged my bike forward.
Nudged my bike forward.
Okay, and the last one.
Because his pride would not allow him to apologize, Ken now had to fight the bully, and he was pretty sure that he would not win. These thesis statements do not tell the reader what happens. They only introduce the action that will follow. The paragraphs in the body will develop the story.
Okay, thank you, Rodrigo. Guys, this is different because we talk about these statements in other works. Argumentative, expository, okay, descriptive. We talk about different types of thesis statements. Now, this is a narrative thesis statement. So it has to tell you a description, a main idea of what happened. For example, think about your favorite movie, for example. I don't know, any movie in particular. Let's do this exercise, guys. What is your favorite movie? Think about it. Let's see. Audrey, what is your favorite movie of all time?
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter?
Mhm.
Okay. And okay, let's see. Joe, what is your favorite movie of all time? Joanne?
Okay. Okay. Señor de los Anillos, pero ¿cómo se?
Lord of the Rings
Okay. This.
by J.J.R. Tolkien. And let's see, Rodrigo, what is your favorite movie?
The Pursuit of the Happiness.
Okay. And Mauricio?
I don't know, maybe Batman versus Superman.
Okay. And think about your movie, your favorite movie. What happened? What do you think is the thesis or the turning point where everything changed? Everything was going perfect and something changed. And now we get into the body. For example, I'm going to think about a movie that everyone knows about. Do you remember the movie Forrest Gump? Yes?
Yes, teacher.
Okay. So you remember the movie Forrest Gump. And it's a narrative story in first person, right? Now, Forrest Gump was having a life as a child, having some problems. He didn't have a father. He lived with his mom. He would say that he was happy because there was people, etc., etc. And he had a life, it was going. What was the turning point? What was the part when everything changed? Do you remember? Do you remember what happened that changed everything?
When he when he decide run Correct?
Okay,
Or
but that would be more like a part of the body. That was, but something happened in his life. Everything changed for Forrest Gump when he met Jenny, right? That was the turning point. That was when everything changed for him, because now he felt that he wanted to do things. He had a purpose to do different things. Jenny was the reason why he wanted to enlist in the army. Before that, he went to college for that. He played football because he wanted to get attention from Jenny. He wanted to sound like to be a sportive person and get her attention, right? He joined the army because he wanted to look handsome. He started running because he wanted to get attention so that maybe she could look at him. I don't know. They don't say it specifically, but I'm pretty sure he knew she was going to find out. Okay. But that's one of my favorite movies. I have many more, but think about your movie. What is the thesis statement? What is that part? What is that turning point? Or the main idea? I know when the story gets its main idea, when he met Jenny, so I can write my thesis statement. I can talk about Jenny because that would be when everything will get into context. And then I'll just elaborate in my body about all those things that you, like, for example, your example, Joe, that will be part of my body because that was afterwards. Okay. Do you have any questions, guys?
No, teacher.
Okay. Let's go into the body. Okay. Let's see. Mauricio, can you help me read the body section?
The body. The body of your narrative essay contains most of the plot, the supporting information. The action in the plot can be organized in many different ways. One way is chronological or time order. In this method, each paragraph gives more information about the story as it proceeds in time. The first paragraph usually describes the first event. The second paragraph describes the second event, and so on.
Okay. And this is what I was trying to explain about, in my case, my favorite movie. Okay. How we talk about the first paragraph describing the first event, the second paragraph describing the second event, but everything is going in chronological or time order. Okay. There's some cases where we have flashbacks, right? Remember that movie, The Butterfly Effect? I don't know if you're familiar with that movie, but there's a lot of flashbacks, guys. So you're going into chronological order, and then you go back in time, and then you rechange story. That's a different type of movie or narrative, but it's actually not confusing. It's fun because you always have to try to get in track. The story, well, it's a very sad story, but in the end, well, I guess everything changes for the best. Now, transitional sentences. Let's see, any volunteers for transitional sentences? Joanne, can you help me read?
Okay. And transitional sentence in an essay which chronological organization each paragraph and with a traditional sentence. Traditional sentence have two purposes. One, to signal the end of the action in one paragraph, and two, to provide a link to the action of the next paragraph. These sentences are vital because they give your story unique and allow the reader or to follow the action easily. Mm, the following example is from essay 8 on page 43, paragraph 2, 2 and 3, and notice how the idea in the last sentence of paragraph 2, the transactional sentence underline, and the first sentence of paragraph 3 underline are connected.
Okay, so yes, we have transitional sentences, and they're gonna help us to link our ideas. And the best way to explain this is by reading the examples we have. And it's telling us here, paragraph 2, paragraph 3. Let's see. This was, I want to read, guys, so pay close attention because here is something that is going to help us with our next exercise. This was my first visit to the international terminal of the airport, and nothing was familiar. I could not make sense of any of the signs. Where was the check-in counter? Where should I take my luggage? I had no idea where the immigration line was. I began to panic. What time was it? Where was my plane? I had to find help because I could not be late. Okay, so we have here this last sentence underlined. I had to find help because I could not be late. 3. I tried to ask a passing businessman for help, but my words all came out wrong. Okay, sorry guys. Okay, so I finished my second paragraph by saying that I needed help. So I started my third paragraph saying, now I'm looking for the help, and this is what's going to happen. Do you follow? He just scolded and walked away. What had happened? What's scold? So someone is talking to you, excuse me, sir, excuse me, and you're like, I'm leaving. I'm actually in a hurry. You don't say anything, you just walk faster, or you just pretend you're not paying attention. Okay, that's what it is, scold. What had happened? I had been in this country for a whole semester, and I could not even remember how to ask for directions. This was awful. Another bus arrived at the terminal, and the passengers stepped off carrying all sorts of luggage. Here was my chance. I could follow them to the right place, and I would not have to say a word. Okay? Any questions, guys? Questions, kids? No?
No, teacher.
Okay, kudos. Now, let's read about the conclusion. Okay? Let me see. Mauricio, can you help me read? Yeah, let's read about the conclusion, okay, please?
The conclusion. Like academic essays, narrative essays need to have concluding ideas. In the conclusion, you finish describing the action in the essay. The final sentence can have two functions. One, it can deliver the moral of the story by telling the reader what the characters learn from the experience. Two, it can make a prediction or a revelation. And disclosure or something what was not known before about future actions and will happen as a result of the events in the story.
Okay. And it says here, look at these examples. And we have examples of different types. The first one, moral. Okay. So let's see. Audrey, can you help us with the first one, moral?
The little boy had finally learned that telling the truth was the most important thing to do.
Okay. So yes, it has to do with values. What about prediction? Joanne?
I can only hope that one day I will be able to do the same for another traveler who is
Suffering? Suffering?
su- suffering through a terrible journey.
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 Journey. Okay, good. So we have a prediction. I can only hope that one day I will be able to do the same thing for another traveler who is suffering through a terrible journey. Okay, so we're predicting something. What about the revelation, Rodrigo?
Every New Year's Eve, my wife and I return to that magical spot and remember the selfless act that saved our lives.
Okay, so now we have some spiritualism here, a revelation. Every New Year's Eve, my wife and I return to that magical spot and remember the selfless act that saved our life. Okay. So pretty much a conclusion can have any of these types of functions. Okay. Now, before we get into the essay, let's read a little bit about the writer's notes, the storytelling tip. And this is something that I would like to read because it'll give us more information on how to understand the narrative structure of the essay, okay? If you describe the sights, smells, and sounds of the story, you will bring the story alive for the reader. Yes, guys. And all of these is called imagery. It's a literary term where you bring everything into life. You can imagine everything in your brain. Try to include a few adjectives in your sentences. The more descriptive the information, the more the reader will connect with the story you're telling. Make readers feel that they are there with you as you experience what you are describing, okay? In the following example, the writer uses adjectives, underline, to add depth to the story by giving additional information. Okay. So yes, adjectives, description, guys. I walked into the noisy classroom and I looked for a place to sit down. In the back of the well-lit room, I saw an old wooden desk and walked toward it. After a few moments, the anxious student quieted down when they observed the prim English teacher enter the room. Okay. So yes, how can we give more detail? Bring the story, the narrative story into life. Bring life to it. Adjectives, guys. The more vocabulary we know about adjectives, the more we'll be able to give quality to our essay. We'll keep that hook going throughout the whole body of the essay, including the conclusion, because you already did it in the introduction. You hooked them up and then you complemented it with the thesis. So like, how can you keep it alive with your body and at the end in your conclusion? Okay. Any questions so far, guys? No questions? No? Okay, let's go into the next activity. Studying a narrative essay. So discuss the previous questions with a classmate. So these are the previous questions, okay? Then read the essay and answer the questions that follow. Okay, so let's see. We have some preview questions. Let's read these questions. Number 1, Audrey, can you read the first question?
Have you ever had trouble getting from one place to another while traveling? Where were you going? What happened that made this travel difficult?
Okay, so let's see. Let's answer these questions, guys. Audrey, what about the first question? Have you ever had trouble getting from one place to another while traveling? Maybe?
Yes, teacher.
Okay. Where were you going? Do you remember?
In the airport when I was late.
Okay.
Um,
And what happened that made this travel difficult?
teacher.
You remember?
Sorry, teacher, I can't hear.
It's okay. Let's try someone else. Let's see, any volunteers before I hear you? That's okay. Any volunteers? Rodrigo?
No, teacher, I can't hear you very
Can you hear
well.
me? I'm sorry?
I cannot hear you very well.
Okay, guys, I was having some problems with the internet. Can you hear me now?
Yes, teacher.
Okay, let's do it again. Rodrigo, have you ever had trouble getting from one place to another while traveling?
Yes, teacher.
Okay, where were you going?
I was going to Chile.
Okay, what happened that made this travel difficult?
My papers, my passport was an observation in the I don't know.
Immigration office?
Yes, yes,
Uh-oh. Oh man, it doesn't look like fun, huh?
yes. It was many hours to wait that.
I can imagine. Yes. Anyways, that was quite an anecdote. Okay, good guys. Let's go into the second question. Can everyday people be considered heroes? Okay. Let's see. Mauricio, can everyday people be considered heroes?
Yes, I think that everyday people can be considered heroes.
Okay. What do you consider to be a heroic act?
Mm, I don't know, teacher, maybe everything. Like I'm something, sometime I heard you may see life like it would be everything bad, everything a conflict, or you could see life like everything's like a miracle.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be something where you have to risk your life necessarily, okay? It could be as
Yeah.
simple, it could be as simple as helping someone change a tire
Yes.
or getting gas for someone that gets stranded because they don't have any gasoline, right? Getting a gallon of gasoline and just inputting the gasoline into the tank and you're a hero, you know? It could be as simple as that, okay? Good. I like it. Now let's get into these essay, guys. Okay, so we have a little time. Let's read about this essay really fast. Frustration at the airport. Let's read about the first paragraph, the introduction. Okay, Joe, can you help me read?
Mm, I had never been more anxious in my life. I had just spent the last three atlas or trying to get to the airport so that I could travel home. Now, as I watched the bus driver set my language on the airport
Luggage. Luggage.
luggage, okay, luggage on the airport, uh, sidewalk,
Sidewalk.
sidewalk, I realized that my frustration had only just begun.
Okay, good. Number two, Audrey.
This was my first visit to the international terminal of the airport, and nothing was familiar. I couldn't make sense of any of the things. Where
Science.
was signs? Where was the check-in counter? Where should I take my luggage? I had no idea where the immigration line was. I
Begin.
began to panic. What time was it? Where was my plane? I had to find help because I couldn't be late.
Okay, good. Three, Rodrigo.
I tried to ask a passing
Businessman.
businessman for help, but my words all came out wrong. He just scolded and walked away. What happened? I had been in this country for a whole semester, and I could not ever remember how to ask for directions. This was awful. Another bus arrived at the terminal, and the passengers came out carrying all sorts of luggage. Here was my chance. I could follow them to the right place, and I would not have to say a word.
Okay, good. Four. Who's next? Mauricio?
Teacher. Okay. I drag my enormous suitcase behind me and followed the group. We finally reached the elevators. Oh no, they all they all fit in it, but there was not enough room for me. I watched in despair as the elevator doors closed. I had no idea what to do next. I got on the elevator when it returned and gazed at the buttons. Which one could it be? I pressed button 3. The elevator slowly climbed up and to the third floor and jerked jerked to a stop. A high squeaking noise announced the opening of the doors, and I looked around timidly.
Okay, kudos. 5. Joanne?
Mm, There's form. Okay. There's form in my eyes as I saw the desert lobby and realized that I would miss my plane. Just um, then I- uh, elderly airport employee shuffled
Shuffled?
shuffled, okay, around the corner. He saw that I was lost and asked if they could help. He gave eh, he gave me his handkerchief
Handkerchief. Handkerchief.
handkerchief to dry my eyes as I relied the
Related?
predicament.
I related my predicament.
I related my predicament. He smiled kindly,
Kindly?
uh, kindly, and led me down a long hallway. He walked up some stairs, turned a corner, and at last there was custom. He let me pass all the lines of people and push my luggage to the inspection
Counter.
counter.
Counter. Okay. Good. Let's see. Audrey, 6.
When I turned to thank him for all his help, he was gone. I will never know that kind means name, but I will always remember his respect, courtesy. He helped me when I needed it the most. I can only hope that one day I will be able to do the same for another traveler who is suffering through a terrible journey.
Okay. And that's it, right? All right. So, it's like a panic attack, right? When you see a lot of people, you're in a big place. Yes. The same thing happens to people when they are in closed places, right? Very limited space. There's people that get panic attacks when there's a lot of space. All right, and we have some vocabulary. To skull, to frown, a terminal, an arrival and departure point for some forms of mass transportation. Okay. To despair, the condition of having no hope. Sounds like in Spanish, right? To gaze, to look at slowly and steadily. Okay. To jerk, to move with an abrupt motion. Okay. Timidly, hesitantly, shyly. Deserted, empty, elderly, older, mature. Okay. To shuffle, to walk by sliding one's feet along the ground. okay? A predicament, a troubling situation, a courtesy, a kind or polite action, okay? Are any of these vocabulary words, guys, new to you? Are any of these vocabulary new to you? Yes, no, maybe?
Handkerchief.
Oh, handkerchief. Okay.
Handkerchief.
Right here. This is a compound word. Handkerchief. Anybody? Anybody knows? So it's something that she used to dry her eyes. Dry. Secarse sus ojos. Dry my eyes. What can you use to dry your eyes?
Paper.
Paper. What else?
Pampainel.
Okay, maybe linen, material. Un pañuelo. Okay, handkerchief, pañuelo. Okay, any more words, guys? Any more vocabulary that you consider that are new? Rodrigo, Mauricio? Maybe?
Shuffle.
To shuffle, right?
Oh, yes.
It's like sliding, right? Okay. Good. So we're going to stop here, guys. We have some questions to answer tomorrow. Okay. And we are going to use this information to answer the questions. I'm not going to go over them right now. We're going to continue working in these exercise. Okay. Now, any questions before we leave for the day? Any questions? Any questions? Any questions about your paper for tomorrow? No? Okay, don't forget to submit your argumentative essay, guys. And let me send today's survey. You can help me fill out today's survey, please. I would pretty much appreciate it. And that'll be all for my behalf for tonight, guys, okay? I'm missing 1%. Okay, thank you. Okay, guys, thank you so much for taking today's class. I'll see you tomorrow. Don't forget your homework.
See you, teacher. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, guys. Bye-bye.
See you, teacher.
Bye-bye, Joe.
Bye, teacher.
Bye-bye, guys.